at least mildly curious at one point in our lives. Just what do these lines on our hands say about us? What stories do they really tell? Or if we were to gaze into a crystal ball, would we see our future or our past? What would we learn? Well, Amy Pemington was one who was curious enough that she actually went to a fortune teller. And lo and behold, almost as soon as she walked in and sat down, she was told that she was possessed by demons. Yeah, one might chuckle at that at first. It seems pretty bizarre. And so, she just didn't look like one who would be possessed by demons. She seemed normal. Actually, she seemed above normal. She was beautiful, and she was intelligent and poised and professional. And from a short distance, you'd probably say she was in her late 20s, closer up, mid-30s. But all the same, she was now being told that she had 7 demons living inside her. And while this seems so unlikely until one might consider that these weren't creatures from the pit, they didn't have fiery eyes. These were far more lethal. They were lies that Amy had told herself. And as Amy began to listen to this gypsy woman, she began to understand, and she believed. The first demon named was I Shall Not Die. At 43 years of age, Amy still liked to pretend she was 24 and refused to grow up or to accept anything that came with her age. But until she could start taking herself seriously, she was stuck in second gear. She needed to learn to accept who she really was. Well, the second of the demons was far stronger than the first. It was named If and Then. Sound familiar? It's idolatry of sorts. If the weather was nicer, then I'd be happy. If I had a better job, if I made more money, if I lived in Hawaii, if I looked like the cover girl from Vogue, then all would be good and well in the world. But this lie prevented Amy from living in the here and now. And it kept her from learning to be happy with where she was and what she had. The next 3 demons were brothers of sorts. They were named Security, Freedom and Security, and Someday Love Will Come. Well, security is at best an illusion. And so to put one's trust in that, well, it can all slip away, and to hope to find freedom and security can leave one with anxiety and feelings of insecurity. And I don't know if you've realized it or not, but I hate to disappoint you, life is not a fairy tale. And Amy had been spending a lot of time dreaming up a fictional romance with a knight in shining armor, and she had ignored the true love that was right in front of her. Sometimes relationships take work, but that doesn't make them any less real. Well, Amy gasped for breath, and she felt like her insides were tearing, as this toothless witch cast out these first 5 demons. There was some relief in the pressure, but they weren't finished. There were still 2 more demons lingering. The next one, well, it sounds innocent enough. It was named Things Will Soon Work Out. Now this doesn't sound like a demon at all. It disguises itself as sounding hopeful and optimistic. But the problem is that most often things work out in direct proportion to the amount of effort people have put into it. And so this lie causes laziness and apathy. And it had tricked Amy into thinking that she didn't need to raise a finger. And that had made all the difference in the world that she hadn't made a difference in the world. The final demon that Martin Bell talks about in his story, When the Demons Captured Amy, this one is cloaked in indignation. It was named My Life is About Other People. It almost sounds like she's sharing. But what she's sharing is actually putting on the responsibility of her life onto everybody else. You see, Amy was one who life just sort of happened to. It wasn't her fault she was late, or failed a test, or ran the stop sign, or snapped at that person. It was all about someone else had dropped the ball, or just not held up their end of the deal, or pushed her buttons. And so Amy, instead of looking for others to ask them for help, looked at others as places to place blame. It took time. It took a lot of work, and it was painful. But that fortune teller, gypsy witch, was able to exorcise Amy of these demons. And when she did, Amy was filled with peace as she paid the witch her $5 and went on her way changed and made new. Amy's demons hadn't caused her to run around wreaking havoc anywhere. She didn't tear at her clothes. Her neighbors hadn't thought it was a good idea to chain her up and leave her outside of town. But they had prevented her from living up to her potential. They had hindered her from being the child of God that she was created to be. Amy Pennington wasn't so entirely different from the Gerasene Gentile that Jesus encountered on the other side of the lake. You might remember one of Amy's demons is my life is about other people. Well, as you read Luke, he is not so subtle when he shares the name of this man's demons as being Legion, which was well known at that time as in 6,000 Roman soldiers who were occupying their territory, their land. This man was broken by politics. He was filled with anxiety and depression and fear. And if only the Romans would leave, then he would be happy and find security and freedom in security. Another thing you may have noticed in these stories is that in both the evil needed to be confronted in order for it to be vanquished. Both by this toothless witch and by Jesus when he stepped off the boat and the demons shouted at him, begging for mercy. The townspeople who had known about this evil, who had ignored it, they had just chained him up, left the man outside of town, out of sight, out of mind. Sometimes it's easy for us to try to do that when we see evil. Let's just ignore it. Someone else will take care of it. But that just contributes to the evil infestation. But Jesus was able to cast out evil. Evil obeyed because God is more powerful, God is stronger than all of our lies, than our fears, than our false blame, than our manipulations, than our if-thans. And things will work out when Jesus takes action and when we do God's work. I don't think, pretty sure as I look around, that none of us came in here today with our heads doing 360s or spitting out pea soup. But we have brought in our baggage. It may be someone who we just can't forgive. It may be control that we're trying to hoard. It may be our pack of lies, our if-thans, our security, our things will work out. Most of us have this sin that hinders us from being the children of God that we were created to be. When Martin Luther found himself fighting demonic temptations, he confronted it. He shouted out, but not what you might expect. He didn't shout out, I believe, I'm a Christian, because that would be about something that he had done. Instead, Luther put his confidence in what God had done for him as he yelled out, I am baptized. He remembered that God had claimed him, claimed us in our baptism as our own, as God's own. The good news is that Jesus does confront our demons, our sin, in our confession. If we confess our sin, he who is faithful and just will forgive us our sin and cleanse us from all impurities. And in our baptism, we are washed clean. As we share the meal, we are filled with Jesus and made new. As we gather at the foot of the cross, let us lay down our lives and be filled up, free in Christ.